At last. Has Erhard come after all?
No, Mum, but there's a lady waiting outside.
Mrs. Wilton, I suppose.
No, someone strange.
Did she say she wanted to see Mrs. Borkman?
Yes.
Good. Tell her I'm here. Haven't you made a mistake? The bailiff lives in the side wing, you know.
I'm not here for the bailiff, but for you.
Well then, won't you sit down?
Thank you, but I'll stand for now.
Fine, but please loosen your cloak at least.
Yes. It's rather warm in here.
I am always cold.
I suppose you've seen me now and again when I've been here on my yearly visit to the bailiff.
Once or twice.
I've caught a few glimpses of you too, there at the window.
You have good eyes. But the last time we spoke to each other...
Oh, yes, I know.
The last time we spoke to each other,
don't
it was
speak
here
of it.
in this room. It was the week before he was let out.
Don't speak
It was
of
the
it.
week before he was set at liberty.
Oh, how could I forget?
I can't understand how such a thing, how anything so horrible can fall upon one single family, and that it should be our family, so old a family as ours. Think of its choosing us out.
Oh, good Hill, there were many, many families besides ours who suffered.
But I don't care about those others. To them, it was just a matter of a little money or some papers. But for us, for me, and for my little boy, Erhard, the shame that fell upon us two innocents, and then the dishonour, the hateful, terrible dishonour, and then the utter ruin too.
Tell me, how does he bear it?
Erhard,
No, he himself, how does he bear it?
do you think I have anything to do with him? Do you imagine that I ever see him, that I ever meet him? Do you?
Not even that?
The man was in jail for 5 years. The crashing shame of it. And to think of all that the name that John Gabriel Borkman used to mean.
Oh, you have
No, I can never see him again, never.
Oh, you have a hard heart, good Hill.
Towards him, yes.
He's your husband.
Didn't he say in court that I began his ruin? That I spent money so recklessly?
But there's some truth in that, isn't there?
Why, he himself made me do it. He insisted on our living in such an absurdly lavish style.
Yes, I know, but that was just when you should have restrained him.
How was I to know that it wasn't his money that he gave me to squander? And he himself used to squander too, 10 times more than I did.
Well, but in his position...
No, it was always the same story. We were to cut a figure, and he did cut a figure, driving about with a 4 in hand as if he were a king. People bowing and scraping all over the country, calling him by his Christian names as if he'd been the king himself. John Gabriel, John Gabriel, John Gabriel, as if he had been the king himself. Everyone knew what a great man John Gabriel was.
Oh, he was a great man then.
To all appearances, yes, but he never breathed a single word to me about where the money really came from.
No?
He never gave a clue about what really went on. He never gave a hint about where the money really came from.
No. And the others never dreamed of it.
I don't care about the others. It was his duty to tell me the truth, and he never did. He kept on lying abominably.
Surely not, good Hill. He may have kept things back perhaps, but I'm sure he didn't lie.
Call it what you please. It makes no difference. Then it all fell to pieces.
Yes.
The whole thing.
Everything fell to pieces for him and for the rest of us.
But I tell you this, Ella, I shall redeem myself yet.
Redeem yourself? What do you mean?
Redeem my name and honour and fortune. Redeem my ruined life, that's what I mean. All that can be redeemed. I have someone to help me, I can tell you. I have someone in reserve. There is an avenger living who will wash away every stain that he has left. He will make up to me for all his father's sins.
Erhard?
Yes, Erhard. He will redeem the family, the house, the name, all that can be redeemed, and perhaps more besides.
Oh, how, Gunhild?
I don't know how, but I know that it must and shall be done. Come now, Ella. Isn't that what you've had in mind for him too, ever since he was a child?
No, I can't say that.
No? Then why did you take charge of him when the storm broke upon this house?
Because at the time you couldn't look after him yourself, Gunhild.
No, I couldn't. But his father, he had a valid enough excuse while he was there in safekeeping.
How can you say such things? You!
And how could you make up your mind to take charge of the child of a John Gabriel, just as if he had been your own, to take him home with you, and to keep him there year after year? What was your real reason, Ella? Why did you keep him?
I came to love him so dearly.
More than I, his mother?
Erhard was rather delicate as a child.
Erhard, delicate.
Yes, well, I thought so then, at the time at any rate. And you know the air on the west coast is so much milder than here.
Is it indeed? Yes, it's true, you have done a great deal for Erhard. But then you could afford it. You were so lucky, Ella. You managed to save all your money.
I didn't manage anything about it, I assure you. I had no idea until long afterwards that the securities belonging to me had been left untouched.
Oh, I don't understand anything about these things. I only say you were lucky. But when you, of your own accord, undertook to educate Erhard for me, what was your motive in that?
My motive?
Yes. What did you want to do with him, to make of him?
I wanted to smooth the way for Erhard to happiness in life.
People situated as we are have things other than happiness to think of.
What, Gunhild?
In the first place, Erhard has to make such a brilliant position for himself that no trace shall be left of the shadow his father has cast over my name and my son's.
Tell me, Gunhild, is this what Erhard himself demands of his life?
Yes, I should hope so.
Is it not rather what you demand of him?
Erhard and I always make the same demands upon ourselves.
Are you so very certain of your boy, Gunhild?
Yes, I am, thank goodness. You can be sure of that.
Then you must be very happy after all, in spite of all the rest.
Yes, I am, as far as that goes. Then, every moment, all the rest comes rushing in upon me like a storm.
Tell me, Gunhild, this is what I have really come for.
What?
Something I felt I must talk to you about. Tell me, Erhard doesn't live out here with you others.
Erhard cannot live out here. He has to live in town.
So he wrote to me.
He must for the sake of his studies. But he calls in every evening to see me.
Oh, well, may I speak with him? May I see him now?
He isn't here, but I expect him at any minute.
Oh, he must have come. I can hear his footsteps overhead.
Up in the long gallery?
Yes, I've heard him walking up and down ever since I came.
That is not Erhard, Ella.
Not Erhard? Who then?
It is he.
Borkman. John Gabriel Borkman.
He walks up and down like that, backwards and forwards, from morning till night, day in and day out. That's how it's been ever since they let him out and sent him home to me. All these 8 long years. Always to hear his footsteps up there. Early morning till far into the night. I feel as if I have a sick wolf pacing his cage up there in the gallery, right over my head. Do you hear? Backwards and forwards, up and down, prowls the wolf.
Do you ever happen to meet him away from home?
In society, do you mean?
No, I mean when he goes out walking in the woods.
He never goes out.
Not even in the twilight?
Never.
Cannot bring himself to go out.
I suppose not. He has his great cloak and his hat hanging in the cupboard. The cupboard in the hallway, you know.
The cupboard where we used to hide.
And every now and then,
little.
late at night, I can hear him come down. He comes downstairs as though to go out, but he always stops when he is halfway down and turns back, straight back to the gallery.
Do none of his old friends ever come out to see him?
Oh, they tell me an old clerk or copyist or something comes out to visit every now and then.
Probably a man called Foldall. They were friends as young men.
Oh, I know nothing about him. He was quite outside our circle, when we had a circle.
So he meets with Borkman now.
He condescends to. But of course he only ever visits after dark.
This Foldall, didn't he suffer when the bank collapsed?
I heard he lost some small amount of money, but no doubt it was something quite trifling.
It was all he possessed.
Well, then what he possessed must have been little enough. Nothing to speak of.
Oh, and he didn't speak of it, Foldall I mean, during the investigation.
Erhard has made ample amends for any little loss he may have suffered.
Erhard? How can Erhard have done that?
Erhard has taken quite an interest in Foldall's youngest daughter. He's taught her things and put her in the way of getting employment and one day providing for herself. I'm sure that's a great deal more than her father could ever have done for her.
Yes, it is. I don't suppose her father could afford to do much.
And then Erhard has arranged for her to have music lessons. She's made such progress already that she can come up to him in the gallery and play to him.
So he's still fond of music?
I suppose so. Of course he has the piano that you sent out to him when he was expected back.
And she plays to him on it?
Now and then in the evenings. Erhard has arranged for her to stay with a lady who lives nearby, a Mrs. Wilton.
Mrs. Wilton?
A very rich woman. You don't know her.
Mrs. Fanny Wilton?
Yes.
Erhard has mentioned her. Does she live out here now?
Yes, she's taken a villa. She moved out from town some time ago.
They say she's been divorced.
Her husband has been dead for several years.
Yes, but they were divorced.
He deserted her.
No, he got a divorce. Do you know her very well, Gunhild?
Fairly well. She lives close by and she calls in every now and then.
And do you like her?
She is unusually intelligent and remarkably clear in her judgments.
In her judgments of people, do you mean?
Yes, principally of people. She's made quite a study of Erhard, looked deep into his character, into his soul. And the result is she idolizes him, as she couldn't help doing.
Then perhaps she knows Erhard a bit better than she knows you.
Yes, Erhard saw a good deal of her in town.
And in spite of that, she moved away.
In spite of what? What do you mean?
Let me tell you. I think I too have a certain claim on Erhard. Because I love him.
Love my son? Is it possible? You, in spite of everything?
Yes, it's possible. In spite of everything, and it's true. I love Erhard. As much as I can love anyone now at my time of life.
Suppose you do. What then?
Why, then I am troubled whenever I see anything threatening him.
Why? What should threaten him? Or
Well,
who?
you in your
I?
way in the first place,
I?
and then this Mrs. Wilton too, I'm afraid.
And you think such things of my boy, he who has his great mission to fulfill?
Oh, his mission.
How dare you say that so scornfully?
Do you think a young man of Erhard's age, full of youth and health, do you think he's going to sacrifice his life for such a thing as a mission?
I know he will.
You neither know it nor believe it, Gunhild.
You want to come between us, between mother and son, you.
I want to free Erhard from your will. Your despotism.
You're too late. You've had him in your nets all these years, but I've won him back.
I shall win him back again from you. We have fought a life and death battle before, Gunhild, over a man's soul.
Yes, and I was the victor.
And was the victory worth the winning?
No,
And neither is this.
not when I am fighting to preserve a mother's power over my son.
No, because it's only power that you want.
And you?
I want his affection, his soul, his whole heart.
Never! I have used these 8 years wisely.
What have you said to Erhard about me?
Only the truth. I have impressed upon him that he must never forget that it is you we have to thank for being able to live as we do, for being able to live at all. When he first came back home to me, Erhard imagined that you did it all out of goodness of heart. But no longer, Ella.
What does he believe now?
He believes the truth. I asked him how he accounted for the fact that Aunt Ella never came out here to visit.
Oh, he knew my reasons already.
He knows them better now. You had got him to believe that it was to spare me and him up there in the gallery.
Well, and so it was.
Erhard doesn't believe that for a minute now.
What have you put in his head?
The truth. That you are ashamed of us, that you despise us. And do you pretend you don't? Weren't you once planning to take him away from me?
Oh, that was at the height of the scandal when the case was before the courts, not now.
It wouldn't matter if you did. It's me that Erhard needs, not you. You are as good as dead to him and he to you.
We shall see. For now, I shall remain right here.
Here, in this house.
Yes, here.
Here with us. Remain all night.
I shall remain here all the rest of my days, if need be.
Very well, Ella. The house is yours.
Oh, nonsense.
Everything is yours. The chair I am sitting in is yours. The bed I lie and toss in at night is yours. Even food we eat comes to us from you.
Gunhild, you know it has to be this way. Borkman can own no property, otherwise it would be taken.
Yes, I know. We must be content to live upon your pity and charity. When do you want us to move out?
Move out?
Yes, you don't imagine I can live under the same roof with you, do you?
Oh, good. Let me take Erhard with me.
Take Erhard, my son, my child.
Yes, for then I would go straight home again.
Let Erhard himself choose between us.
Would you dare, Gunhild?
Would I dare? Let my son choose between his mother and you. Yes, indeed, I dare.
Someone's coming, I thought
It must
I
be
heard.
Erhard.
Good evening, my dearest Mrs. Borkman.
Good evening, Mrs. Walton.
Oh, I beg your pardon, you have a visitor.
Oh, only my sister, who has just arrived.
What is this? Is Aunt Ella here?
Oh,
Aunt Helen, is it possible you're here?
Oh, how glad I am to see you. Oh, my dear, dear boy, how you have grown. How good it is to see you.
What
again.
does this mean, Earhart? Were you hiding out in the hallway?
Earhart, Mr. Borkman came in with me.
Indeed, Earhart, you do not come to your mother first.
I had just to look in at Mrs. Wilton's to call for little Frida.
Is that Miss Foldall with you too?
Yes, we left her in the hall.
You can go right upstairs, Frida.
Well, Mrs. Wilton, if you will give us the pleasure of your company this evening.
Thank you, my dear lady, but I really can't. We have another invitation. We're going down to the Hinkles.
Whom do you mean by we?
I ought really to have said I, but I was commissioned by the ladies at the house to bring Mr. Borkman with me, if I happened to see him.
And you did happen to see him, it appears.
Yes, he was good enough to stop by my house for Frida.
But Earhart, I didn't realise you knew that family, those Hinkles.
No, I don't exactly know them. You know better than anybody, Mother, what people I know and don't know.
Oh, it doesn't matter. They soon put you at your ease in that house. They're such warm, hospitable people. The house swarms with young ladies.
If I know my son, Mrs. Wilton, they are no fit company for him.
Why, good gracious, dear lady. He is young too, you know.
Yes, fortunately he is young. He would need to be young.
Well, Mother, it's quite clear I can't go to the Hinkles this evening. Of course I shall remain here with you and Aunt Ella.
I knew you would, my dear Earhart.
Oh, don't stay at home on my account, Earhart.
Yes, indeed, my dear aunt. I can't think of going. But how should we manage? Can I get out of it? You have said yes to me, haven't you?
Not get out of it? Oh, what nonsense. Why, when I make my entrance at the festive halls, just imagine it, deserted and forlorn, then I must simply say no for you.
Well, if you really think I can get out of it.
I am quite accustomed to saying both yes and no on my own account, and you can't possibly think of leaving your aunt the moment she's arrived. For shame, Monsieur Earhart. Would that be behaving like a good son?
Son?
Well, adopted son then, Mrs. Borkman.
Yes, you may say so.
Well, it seems to me we often have more reason to be grateful to a foster mother than to our own mother.
Has that been your experience?
I knew very little of my own mother, I'm sorry to say, but had I had a good foster mother, perhaps I shouldn't have been so naughty as people say I am. Well then, we stop peaceably at home like a good boy and drink tea with Mamma and Auntie. Goodbye. Goodbye, Mrs. Borkman. Goodbye, Miss Rentheim.
Can I go a little bit of the way with you?
Not a step. I'm quite used to taking my walks alone. But now I warn you, Mr. Borkman, beware.
What should I beware of?
Why, as I go down the road, deserted and forlorn as I said before, I shall cast a spell upon you.
Again?
Yes. As I walk down the road, I shall think in my own mind, right from the very centre of my will, I shall think, Mr. Earhart Borkman, take up your hat at once.
And you think he will take it?
Yes, he will snatch up his hat instantly, and then I shall say, now, put on your overcoat, Earhart Borkman, like a good boy, and your galoshes. Be sure you don't forget your galoshes. And then, follow me. Do as I bid you, as I bid you, as I bid you.
Oh, you may rely on that.
As I bid you, as I bid you. Goodbye!
Does she really play tricks of that sort?
How can you take her seriously? It's all in fun. But let's not talk about Mrs. Wilton. Think of your having taken all this long journey, Aunt Ella, and in winter too.
I had to, Earhart.
Why?
To consult with the doctors in town.
Oh, I'm glad about that. I mean, I'm glad you finally made up your mind to do it.
Are you ill, Ella?
You know very well that I am ill.
I knew you weren't strong and hadn't been for years.
I told you before I left you that you ought to consult a doctor. Are you feeling worse?
Yes, my dear boy, worse.
But nothing serious.
It depends.
Well then, Aunt Ella, you mustn't think of going home again for the present.
No, I'm not thinking of it.
You must remain here in town where you can have your choice of all the best doctors.
That's what I was thinking when I left.
And then you must be sure and find a nice place to live. Quiet, comfortable rooms.
I went this morning to the old ones, the ones where I used to stay before.
Ah, Yes, you are comfortable enough there.
Yes, but I shall not be staying there after all.
Indeed. Why not?
I changed my mind after coming out here.
Really? Changed your mind?
Your aunt will live here, in her own house, Erhard.
Here with us, is this
Yes,
true?
that is what I have made up my mind to do.
Everything in this house belongs to your aunt, you know.
I shall remain here just now for the present. I shall set up a little establishment of my own over in the bailiff's wing.
Good idea. There are plenty of rooms there. But aren't you tired after your long journey?
Oh yes, very, very tired.
Well then, Attila, I think you ought to go quite early to bed.
I mean to.
And then we could have a good long talk tomorrow. Or some other day, of course. About this and that, about things in general. You and Mother and I.
Erhard, I can see that you are going to leave me.
What do you mean?
You are going to go down to the Hinkles.
Oh, that! Well, you wouldn't have me sit here and keep Aunt Ella up half the night. Remember, she's an invalid, Mother.
You are going down to the Hinkles.
Well, really, Mother, I don't think I can well get out of it. What do you say, Aunt?
I should like you to feel quite free, Erhard.
You want to come between us.
Yes, if only I could.
Oh, I can't endure this. What have I done with my hat? Do you know the air that she is playing up there?
No, what is it?
It's the dance macabre. The dance of death. Don't you know the dance of death?
Oh, not yet, Gunhild.
Mother, I beg and implore you, let me go.
Away from your mother, so that is what you want to do.
Of course I'll come out again. Tomorrow, perhaps.
You want to abandon me to be with those strange people. No, I won't think about it.
There are bright lights down there, Mother, and young, happy faces, and there's music there.
There's music here too,
Yes,
Erhard.
music that's driving me out of the house.
Do you begrudge your father a moment of indulgence?
No, I don't. I'm very, very glad that he should have it. If only I don't have to listen.
Erhard, be strong, my son. Don't forget your great mission in life.
Oh, Mother, do spare me these phrases. I wasn't born to be a missionary. Good night, Aunt dear. Good night, Mother.
Well, it hasn't taken you long to capture him again after all, Ella.
I wish I could believe it.
But you won't be allowed to keep him for very long.
Allowed? By you, do you mean?
By me. Or by her, the other one.
Then rather she than you.
That I understand. I say the same. Rather she than you.
For the first time in our lives, we two are of the same mind. Good night, Gunhild.
Wolf is whining again. Sick wolf. Oh, Erhard, be true to me. Come home and help your mother. I cannot bear this anymore.